The prince will also stop using his Royal Highness title in any official capacity.
Prince Andrew never had somebody say the word no.
And we try and uphold the highest standards and practices, and I let the side down.
Embroiled in scandal, Prince Andrew's fall from the British royal family was televised for the world to see.
After hearing all the trouble he's made in the royal family, you might not be able to look at Prince Andrew the same way again. Even though he's 64 years old, people still call him the most rebellious royal. And Harry's not far behind. It got worse for him when Queen Elizabeth II took away his military and royal tasks. Want to know more juicy information about what Andrew did? We're used to calling Prince Harry a royal prankster, but he wasn't the first person to cause trouble. Prince Andrew, Duke of York, was known for acting crazy long before Harry took the news. The British press even made fun of him by calling him Randy Andy. This could be why so many people don't like him as a king. In the past, reporters loved to write about Prince Andrew's love life. His connection with Koo Stark, an actress known for a part in Star Wars, was one of the more memorable ones. Her scenes were cut, though. It looked like Andrew put her in touch with the royal family and that they might get married. But things got rough between them when it came out that Stark had been in a racy art movie in 1976 called Emily. Due to the huge size of the story, they broke up, showing how hard it can be for royals to handle their personal lives. Even though they broke up, Andrew's problems were far from over. The news was full of stories about Prince Andrew's relationships, and his wedding to Sarah Ferguson in 1986 was another big event. But his image as a ladies' man didn't go away after they split up in 1996. Vanity Fair said that after his split, he had a lot of girlfriends, and some of them told funny stories about their time with him. One of Andrew's ex-girlfriends remembered that he liked to show off her underwear when they were alone, which added to his sexy image. Even though there are no photos of this, Andrew's social life kept getting press. He was often seen going out to parties with beautiful women, such as German beauty Heidi Klum and Canadian socialite Pascal Bau. His love of parties and high-profile company only added to the idea that he was a fun-loving, scandal-prone king. Andrew, however, said he wasn't into public shows of affection, PDA. But in his famous 2019 interview with BBC, his claim didn't quite hold up. The Sun got a lot of pictures of him kissing different women over the years, which went against his claim that he doesn't like PDA. Images show that the Duke of York and Courtney Love, Kurt Cobain's ex-girlfriend, did meet up. It seems almost impossible that they would be friends. Andrew reportedly got Love's address from a friend they both had and then showed up at her house at 1 a.m. without telling her, thinking she could show him around Hollywood. A friend of Love's heard that she was in bed when the doorbell rang and Andrew was standing at her door with a security guard. There's no proof of what exactly happened, but Andrew was said to have been very flirtatious during the stay. Love says that he made his move while they were sitting on the couch by the fire. It seems almost impossible that Prince Andrew would have gone to Courtney Love's house, especially since Love gave him tea in an old china cup with a picture of his mother on it. Picture the Duke of York drinking tea from a cup that has a picture of his mum on it. Now that's a unique touch. Even though Andrew flirted with her, his visit didn't last long. He was only there for 45 minutes. Love herself said the meeting was so strange that it stood out as one of the strangest things that had ever happened to her. Love's autobiography, Dirty Blonde, even has a picture from this strange meeting. The picture is a physical reminder of a story that seems unbelievable, but it fits exactly into the bigger, less predictable story of Prince Andrew's life. From serving in the Royal Navy to his many charitable work, his life has been a mix of well-known wins and controversies. But it's these out-of-the-ordinary meetings, like the one with Love, that made him known as a prince who often went against the grain and looked for experiences that would make him famous and interesting. Prince Andrew's shady business deals make him even more controversial. He was made Britain's special representative for trade and investment in 2001, which was a very important and well-known job. He was supposed to use his royal ties and good looks to promote British business abroad, but the job made the problems he was already facing even worse. Prince Andrew's 10 years as Britain's special representative for trade and investment didn't end well. He was involved in several scandals during that time, which led to his departure in 2011. Because he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex criminal, things started to go badly for him. Peter Hunt, who covers the royal family for the BBC, says that this relationship did a lot of damage to Andrew's image. But Epstein wasn't the only one who made things worse. Andrew had already gotten in trouble for doing other strange things. A shady real estate deal with Timur Kulibayev, who is the president of Kazakhstan's son-in-law, was one of the most famous scandals. Kulibayev paid £15 million for Andrew's house, Sunning Hill Park, which was several £1,000,000 more than it was worth. This strange deal made people think Andrew might have been cheating on his taxes, which hurt his image as a trade envoy even more. There was one last thing that Prince Andrew could take. In 2010, his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson got involved in a scandal. The tabloid News of the World did a sting operation in which Ferguson was privately filmed, asking for $500,000. This would give them access to Andrew. She told the shady reporter, "I can open any door you want. Take care of me and he'll take care of you." This video showed how she was clearly trying to get money off of Andrew's royal ties. Even though Andrew said he didn't know what Ferguson did, the news was still a huge blow. Ferguson's claim that Andrew knew about the meeting and even told her how much she should ask for didn't help his case. The event painted a troubling picture of Andrew's personal and professional circles, making it seem like they were full of corruption, even if Andrew wasn't personally involved. Because it showed a trend of bad behavior that went against what people expect from a royal representative, the Ferguson scandal was especially bad. Andrew's shady real estate deals, his ties to Epstein, and Ferguson's attempt to sell access all added to the impression that he was dishonest and lacked sense. Andrew quit his job as Britain's trade envoy in 2011 in shame, after 10 years of service. What started out as a chance to improve trade relations between Britain and China turned into a scandal that showed how hard it is to keep up royal tasks and personal behavior while being closely watched by the media. While he was Britain's special trade envoy, Prince Andrew was in a lot of trouble and lost a lot of support. His job was supposed to increase trade between Britain and other countries and encourage business to do so. Instead, he became known for being cocky and spending a lot of money, which made people in Britain angry. WikiLeaks found a memo in which a US ambassador said Andrew's behavior at official events was almost rude. He wasn't very polite, so he didn't get along with people around the world or at home. Even more trouble was caused by Andrew's notoriously bad travel habits, which won him the name Air Miles Andy. People did not like that he often picked expensive flights paid for by the government over cheaper ones, especially when the economy was bad. One case that stands out is when Andrew took a short trip from Windsor to Kent in 2009 in his mother's helicopter. The drive takes just over an hour. When it came out that the trip wasn't for work, but for a golf party, the anger grew. Andrew tried to explain this by saying that the chopper made it possible for him to do more things. But this didn't help calm the criticism. Taxpayers didn't like how Prince Andrew tried to explain away his expensive travel because they saw it as a clear waste of public money. Even after he stopped being a trade envoy, the complaints didn't go away. In 2016, he got into more trouble because he took a chopper from London to Norfolk, which cost about $33,150, when he could have taken the train for much less money. These costs became a sign of how little he cared about public money and added to the idea that he lived a fancy life. The gap between Andrew's luxurious lifestyle and the daily struggles of regular people made people even more angry and hurt his reputation. Andrew's fall from grace shows how hard it is for the royals to keep the public's support while also juggling their personal and work lives. His job as a trade envoy was supposed to show off his skills and help Britain, but it turned into a lesson about being too proud and expecting too much. The anger that the public has toward Andrew shows how important it is for the royals to meet high standards and how bad it is when they don't. Many people have said that Prince Andrew was racist and rude, which has made his image even worse. In one famous case, Jackie Smith, who used to be Home Secretary, said that Andrew was racist toward Arabs at a state dinner for the Saudi royal family, which is a key friend of the UK. Jackie Smith's show co-hosting story about Prince Andrew's behavior is very upsetting. Smith says that Andrew said some nasty things about Arabs while she, her husband, and another Labour cabinet member were talking after drinking at a state event. Even though she didn't say his exact words, she said they were as bad as you can imagine and included a rude reference to camels. It was shocking to Smith what the prince said, and the fact that he seemed to find it funny made things even worse. Smith also made fun of Andrew's brain by saying he didn't fully understand what he was saying. "I don't think he's very smart," she said. "I don't think he really understands how he acts," she said, adding that he showed the worst side of the royal family. In answer to these claims, Buckingham Palace stressed Andrew's work in the Middle East as a way to defend him. A palace spokesman said that Prince Andrew does not stand for racism and talked about how he is working to improve ties with the area. But the palace's response didn't do much to lessen the effects of Jackie Smith's statements. Her claims bring to light a bigger problem with the royal family's behavior and attitudes. Racism and insensitivity are serious charges that have weight, especially against powerful people like royals. People expect members of the royal family to live up to high standards and uphold the nation's values. Events like these can badly hurt trust and respect for the monarchy. Also, what Prince Andrew is said to have said has bigger effects on the UK's foreign ties. Because they are close friends, the Saudi royal family is an important part of many political and business partnerships. Racist comments, especially from a well-known royal, could hurt these ties and make the country look bad. The royal family needs to be careful and respectful with these foreign relationships. If they don't, it could have long-lasting effects. Using racial slurs was also said to have happened with Prince Andrew, which made things even more complicated. People have said nice things about how the British royal family welcomes different kinds of people. With African-American star Meghan Markle joining the family, this is especially true. People thought that Meghan Markle's marriage to Prince Harry was a big step forward for an organization that has been very traditional and mostly white for a long time. But in 2019, businessman and columnist Rohan Silva made some shocking claims about the royal family that could really hurt their status as progressives. Silva wrote a very controversial piece for London's Evening Standard. He used to work as an assistant to David Cameron, who was the British Prime Minister. Silva, who is from Sri Lanka, talked about 2 times when the Duke reportedly used racial slurs, one of which involved Prince Andrew. The first thing that happened was while they were talking about EU spending. Alexander said that Prince Andrew cut him off and told him, "Remember that you'll never get anywhere by playing the white man." This comment made it sound like Silva's success was being harmed because she wasn't acting in ways that white privileged people do. This comment shocked and hurt Silva. The second event happened in 2012, while people were talking about how to make the Trade Department work better. Silva says that Prince Andrew said something even worse. Well, if you'll excuse the expression, that really is the N-word in the woodpile. This insulting old word comes from the American South and is used to talk about African slaves who hid in logs on their way to Canada. Silva was shocked by what the Duke said and felt bad that he didn't say anything to the Duke at the time. Representatives for the royal family quickly rejected the claims, saying that Prince Andrew had not used the offensive language that was said to have been used by him. Still, Silva's story got a lot of attention and made people think deeply about the Duke of York's actions and the royal family's beliefs. This was especially hurtful because the royal family was trying to show that they are open to everyone and accept differences. Meghan Markle's joining the family was seen as a step toward change and acceptance. Silva's claims made it sound like some members of the royal family might still hold and say insulting and out-of-date ideas behind closed doors. These claims had an effect on more than just Prince Andrew's behavior. They also put the government as a whole in a tough spot, since the world is changing so quickly. To keep the public's trust and support, members of the royal family must follow high moral standards and represent the values of the country. The fuss over Prince Andrew's claimed racial slurs also brought attention to bigger problems of racism and discrimination in high-class settings. It showed how important it is to deal with prejudiced views, even when they come from strong people. Silva's decision to talk about what happened to him made it clear that the royal family and other well-known groups need to be more accountable and open. All of us know the famous scandal involving Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein. But the big question is Prince Andrew really not guilty? In 2011, The Trouble with Andrew, a story in Vanity Fair, looked at this question. It was about the Duke of York's controversial relationships, especially his one with Epstein. One of Prince Andrew's close friends was interviewed for the story and said that people had tried to warn him about Epstein. The friend said that after Epstein pleaded guilty to a felony charge of soliciting prostitution involving a child in 2008, he told Prince Andrew to cut ties with Epstein. This plea had already done a lot of damage to Epstein's image, and the friend thought that keeping the connection would be bad. His friend told him not to worry about Epstein, but Prince Andrew allegedly ignored them, calling the friend a Puritan and telling him to stop bothering him. The fight turned into a heated debate, with Andrew strongly defending his friendship with Epstein. "Don't bother me, Jeffy is my friend. It's good to be loyal to your friends," and Andrew is said to have said, "I'm going to be loyal to him." This unwavering devotion to Epstein led to bad things. Andrew went to see Epstein in New York in 2010, 2 years after he got out of jail. Pictures of the two of them walking through Central Park caused a lot of anger and made Andrew's public image even worse. The fact that Epstein had an illegal past did not stop this visit from happening. In 2019, Epstein was arrested again, this time on federal charges of sex trafficking minors. This made the scandal involving him even worse. After that, his death in jail, which was later ruled a suicide, made people look more closely at his past ties. The fact that Prince Andrew was friends with Epstein came up again, which led to even more criticism. In an effort to justify his actions, Prince Andrew made an attempt to explain what he had done. When he went to visit Epstein in 2010, he stated that his intention was to put an end to their friendship rather than to keep it going. The Sunday Times was informed by a person who was close to Andrew that he had expressed his regret for his error on multiple occasions. A statement was made by the individual in support of Prince Andrew, stating that the actions he took were not unlawful, but rather a significant error. Despite the fact that these explanations were provided, his reputation was severely damaged and would not improve. The public and the media reacted in a predominantly negative manner, and a great number of individuals asked questions about his character and his logic. It was not enough for his association with Epstein to make him appear bad. It had other consequences as well. What it signified for his duties in public and royal capacities was of utmost significance. In November 2019, Prince Andrew announced that he would be taking a break from his public duties for a temporary period of time. This decision was made in response to the escalating controversy. As the controversy continued to worsen, many people believed that this decision had to be made in order to safeguard the reputation of the monarchy. Prince Andrew is said to be obstinate by those who have a close relationship with him. Both the battle that followed and the fact that he had a long-standing friendship with Epstein are examples of this quality. In an interview with Vanity Fair, a friend of Andrew's stated that his persistence is the primary reason he gets into so many problems. The friend replied, "He acts arrogant and does stupid things to show that he can." And he was right. Additionally, this arrogance manifests itself in his romantic partnerships, where his dedication has the potential to cause him to lose sight of reality, as was the case with Epstein and Sarah Ferguson, his ex-wife. According to the friend, Andrew's attitude could be the result of him believing that he is unbeatable and capable of dealing with anything. People have the misconception that his obstinacy stems from the manner in which he was brought up and the additional attention that he receives from his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. According to the source, he is the affectionate second son. It is because of the Queen's immense love for him that she prioritizes him over her other offspring and absolves him of responsibility for everything. Andrew appears to have developed a sense of entitlement as a result of his mother's choice, which contributes to his ability to navigate life with very little difficulty. The Daily Mail was informed by a source who has deep relations to the royal family that this was in fact the case. The individual additionally mentioned that Andrew usually greeted his mother by bowing from the neck and kissing her hand, followed by kissing both of her faces. There is no doubt that the Queen adores this small entertainment. As a result of the Queen's deep affection for Andrew, it is possible that he did not have to experience the full consequences of his actions. The manner in which Prince Charles deals with situations is completely dissimilar to this excessive motherly behavior. A significant occurrence that took place in September 2019 demonstrated how dissimilar the boys were to one another. It is alleged that Prince Andrew became irate due to the fact that he was not receiving what he desired from a highly respected palace employee. It was reported by a person who talked to the Daily Mail that the situation deteriorated and eventually evolved into a heated argument. This demonstrates how furious the royal family was with Andrew's activities, since it reached to the point where Prince Charles had to step in and rectify the situation. The person who was interviewed by Vanity Fair said that Andrew's stubbornness is part of a larger trend that is caused by the Queen's kindness. This trend shows up in the way he dates, especially with Sarah Ferguson and Jeffrey Epstein. Andrew stayed loyal to Epstein until it was too late, even though there were many red flags and public scandals. His strong relationship with Sarah Ferguson, even though she has been in issues and is having money problems, shows that he will always be there for the people he cares about no matter what. His unwavering dedication and stubbornness have gotten him into trouble in the personal world and hurt his public image. From 2001 to 2011, Andrew was Britain's special agent for trade and investment. However, problems arose during his time in office. People didn't like how much he spent on travel or the people he hung out with, especially his friendship with Epstein. Andrew kept in touch with Epstein, even though his friends and advisors told him not to. This was a mistake that would come back to bite him. A significant turning point occurred in Andrew's life in 2010, when he traveled to New York to visit Epstein after Epstein had been released from jail. Images of the two men strolling around Central Park were seen by a large number of people, which resulted in outrage and criticism about the situation. It was ultimately necessary for Andrew to resign from his position as trade ambassador because the response was so powerful. The harm to Prince Andrew's reputation had already been done by the time he made his statement in 2019, which stated that his visit to Epstein was intended to bring an end to their acquaintance. In order to address the increasing number of allegations and negative news, he consented to an interview with BBC Newsnight that was considered to be quite public. An interview that was supposed to clear his name ended up going horribly wrong, which resulted in additional questions, as well as a great deal of mockery and hate directed toward him. Virginia Giuffre is one of the most significant characters in the controversy that has been going on. She stated in court documents that she was forced to have sexual encounters with Prince Andrew on 3 separate times while she was just 17 years old. She claimed that she was forced to have these relationships. In a photograph that was widely disseminated, Prince Andrew was seen putting his arm around Virginia's waist. The Duke of York, on the other hand, indicated that he did not recall ever having the opportunity to meet Virginia and that the photograph might have been a forgery. One of the more peculiar aspects of the interview was when Virginia asserted that Prince Andrew was perspiring heavily as they were dancing together at a drinking establishment in London. The prince reacted by stating that he was unable to sweat at that time due to a problem that he had developed as a result of his participation in the Falklands War. He claimed that being wounded by gunfire during the battle provided him with an overdose of adrenaline that prevented him from perspiring. This was quickly disproved by medical professionals. During an episode of Good Morning Britain, for instance, Dr. Hilary Jones discussed how acetylcholine, and not adrenaline, is responsible for controlling sweating. Since this week, Prince Andrew's trustworthiness has not been significantly improved due to medical issues. During the interview that took place on BBC Newsnight with Emily Maitlis, Prince Andrew attempted to provide an explanation for the night that Virginia Giuffre claimed that they had sexual relations. He stated that he was there at a celebration that was being held at a Pizza Express restaurant in Woking, England, with his daughter Princess Beatrice. This fact, which appeared to be of little significance, did not do much to convince people to believe his viewpoint. The assertion made by Prince Andrew that he visited a Pizza Express in Woking turned out to be a joke, and it became a major issue of discussion due to its significance. He emphasized how infrequent it was for him to visit that Pizza Express, and he made a big deal out of it. Despite the fact that he had only gone to Woking a few times, he recalled that particular trip as being particularly memorable. He went so far as to say that he recalled it after someone had told him about it. It didn't take long for others to point out that this was a complete and utter contradiction, pointing out that famous royals like Andrew typically keep highly precise records of where they are at all times. These records ought to make it simple to determine whether or not he was in fact present at that Pizza Express on that particular evening. Andrew was unable to provide evidence to support his account with these records when he was questioned, which caused people to have even more doubts about him. Following the interview, the Woking Pizza Express received a great deal of odd attention on the internet, including reviews that were both amusing and phony. Several people made the joke that the pizza was so delicious that it may assist you in recalling the precise day of your visit. People began to investigate Andrew's connections to Jeffrey Epstein in greater detail as a result of the entire fiasco that occurred with Pizza Express. The public and the media did not believe his responses since they were insufficient and did not make any sense on their own. More significant issues inside the royal family were also brought up throughout the discussion. These issues included how the royal family handles openness and what people anticipate from them. The manner in which Andrew handled the matter demonstrated how difficult it is for the monarchy to maintain the public's trust when there is a crisis. Andrew had a flimsy alibi, and there was no proof to support his explanation. Would you be surprised to learn that Prince Andrew is the royal who is the most reviled due to the actions he's taken?